that's full and complete. There's life-giving soil, there are metals and ores, there are great pools of power in underground stores. Incredible riches are buried inside this planet of plenty on which we reside. Our home is the earth. The earth is our home. We all need to care for the water, land, and air.
The land provides us many treasures: food, minerals, and energy resources. And it's up to us to use these valuable gifts wisely and responsibly.
Our home is the earth. The earth is our home. We all need to care for the water, land, and air. The earth is our home.
Hi, I'm Slim Goodbody. Today we'll be talking about the solid part of our planet, the lithosphere. Lithosphere, from the Greek word lithos, meaning rock, and sphera, meaning ball or sphere. It's the part of our environment that's underneath our feet. And it's made up of soil, rock, minerals, and metal. It also contains energy resources like oil, coal, and natural gas. The lithosphere, treasure house of our planet. But there's a lot more to the lithosphere than meets the eye. The part we see is called the crust, and it ranges from the lowest valley to the highest mountain to the floor beneath the ocean.
What's inside?
Let's take a look. The crust is between 3 and 40 miles deep. Well, that may sound thick, but compared to the size of the entire Earth, it's very thin. Imagine that the Earth was the size of an apple. Well, the crust would be no thicker than the apple's skin. Just beneath the crust is the mantle. The mantle is very hard rock. It's very hot and extends inward for about 1,800 miles. Below the mantle is the outer core. The outer core is even hotter. It's a very thick liquid, like the molten lava that comes out of volcanoes. The outer core is about 1,300 miles deep. Last stop, the inner core, the Earth's center. It's solid and heavy, and it's probably made of iron and nickel. It's about 860 miles thick. It's hot in here. Let's head back to the surface. This whole wonderful planet of ours was formed a very long time ago and developed through the ages to become our home sweet home. The Earth's crust provides us with the natural resources we need to survive and to make our lives easier and more comfortable. Natural resources like coal, which we mine from the earth and use as fuel for our power plants. Iron, which we forge into steel to make buildings and bridges. Aluminum we get from bauxite ore and make into airplanes. And silicon, which goes into computer chips and solar cells. We rely on the Earth's crust for our fuels, metals, and minerals. Minerals are an essential part of the human body. We have sodium in our tears, iron in our blood, calcium in our bones. But minerals and metals are also important because they help us build machines and tools. But probably the most important resource of all is soil, the thin layer covering the Earth's surface. Soil is more important than oil or gold because we use soil to grow our food.
What's soil made of?
Soil begins as rock. Rock may seem solid, but actually there are tiny cracks in its surface. Rain and wind find their way into those cracks and eventually break the rock down into tiny pieces, which get spread across the land's surface. But soil isn't only made of stone. Living things have their role to play. When they die and decay, their remains mix with those bits of rock, and over time, this becomes soil. From this mixture, plants can grow. Soil is really a partnership of rock and life, lithosphere and biosphere working together. Soil, minerals, fuel. These are some of the Earth's treasures that we've come to rely upon. Now, not so long ago, people thought there was no limit to these resources. They figured there was so much we'd never run out. But now we know better.
There's just so much
Of precious soil,
There's just so much
of gas and oil,
There's just so much
for us to take. It's time we saw how much there is at stake. The tree roots brace the soil in place, but we chop them down. And then the rains erode the plains, leaving barren ground.
There's just so much
For us to use, it's time we saw how much we've got to lose. Our cars run fine, so we pay no mind to the road we're on. But the fastest car won't get that far when the gas is gone.
There's just so much
The wells run dry, the mines run out, the croplands die,
There's just so much
and still we plunder. Sometimes I simply wonder why.
Since most of the Earth's resources are limited, and we've been using up what's here, we have to think very carefully about how we use what's left. For example, oil. We drill into the crust in search of the resource that helps power our modern world. Oil. You know how much we depend upon it. To fuel our cars, fly our aircraft, heat our buildings, and to generate electricity. But we're using oil up so fast that one day soon we'll run out. Maybe a lot sooner than most people realize.
How come we just can't make more?
Oil is a product of nature that took millions of years to make.
Millions of years to make it appear deep, deep down in the lithosphere. Cast your minds back in the past to the start of oil, coal, and gas. Now it may sound mean and cruel, but things must die to make fossil fuel. Millions of years to make it appear deep, deep down in the lithosphere. When plants and animals' lives are through, fossils are what they can turn into. Remains decay and decompose, and they don't exactly smell like a rose. Gradually covered with rock and soil, under heat and pressure, turn to coal and oil. It can't happen overnight. It takes millions of years to get it right. Millions of years, millions of years, millions of years to get it here. Deep, deep down in the lithosphere, but only a few to make it disappear.
You and I don't have a few million years to wait around while more oil is being created. This is a one-time, non-repeatable offer. So, we have to figure out how to conserve the oil we do have. One way is by finding alternative energy sources, other ways of producing power.
You mean like solar energy?
Exactly. And there's plenty of energy from our sun. In fact, scientists estimate we have about another 5 billion years worth. Researchers have found ways of using sunlight to make electricity with solar cells like these. And solar panels are providing energy just like an oil-burning power plant. But unlike oil, solar energy is renewable. That means nature is always producing more. And there are other kinds of renewable resources too.
Wind.
Sure, people have been using wind for centuries, like the windmills in Old Holland. Now, modern windmills are harnessing this renewable resource. Why, whole fields of windmills are turning to provide power. And there's more.
Water.
That's right. The power of flowing water is enormous. We still get a lot of our supply of energy from hydroelectric dams, which use the water to turn turbines and produce electricity. And there are other sources now being developed, like geothermal systems. They use the heat deep inside the earth to give us energy here on the surface. But the simplest way to keep from running out of oil is to conserve it. We've got to use less. We can do that by building lighter and more fuel-efficient cars. We can use cars less often by using mass transit, trains, and buses. We can use the energy of the sun to help heat our homes. Kids can play a big part too. Think of the way oil gets used, and you'll be able to see how you can use less.
I ride my bike instead of asking for a ride.
I shut off the light when I leave the room.
Great ideas. But oil is only one of the Earth's limited resources. How about minerals and metals?
I recycle aluminum.
And I recycle glass.
Wonderful. When we recycle, we keep more of our planet's resources in the ground. We need to keep the Earth's treasure chest just as full as possible, now and for the future. We have so much to be grateful for. Just
Look around.
At the treasures large and small,
Thank you, Earth.
we appreciate them all.
We're aware.
We must do our parts
Thank you, Earth.
from the bottom of our hearts. Turn off your TV, turn off the lights, turn off your faucets, shut them off right. Go for a walk now, or ride your bike. Gotta recycle, do it upright. So you think that there is nothing in the world that you can do about pollution and destruction of the world that's dear to you. But there's power in your actions and the future's in your hands. If one child tells another, soon the whole world understands. Shut the refrigerator door. If you open it, know what you're looking for. And that air conditioning hum, keep it to a minimum. Take aluminum cans back to the store, so we don't have to mine for more. Recycle, be sure to lend a hand. If one child tells another, and another